Where were you when the 9/11 attacks happened? When I say 9/11 attacks, I mean the attacks that happened on September 11th, 2001, when two planes crashed into the World Trade Center in New York City. My boyfriend was driving to work and heard it on the radio. By the time next thing he knew, he was watching the second plane crash into the second World Trade Center tower. Today, I would like to inform you of how this affected his family, his city, New York City, and how it has forever changed his life. First, let's begin with how it affected his family. His family lives on the outskirts of New York City, so they weren't in the city, but they did have many family and friends who worked in the city. They even had an uncle who worked in the World Trade Center. Can you imagine having a family member who worked in the World Trade Center and you could not get in touch with them? My boyfriend says to this day that he and his family had panicked. They were thinking about him, they were trying to get in touch with him, and it is one of the scariest things that has ever happened to him. For months and even years after the attacks, his family will tell you they were afraid to leave their home. They were afraid to go to a restaurant. They were afraid to go to work because they didn't know what was going to happen next. They said this fear forever lives with you, even though it has been so many years later. His family by far are not the only people that had to deal with this tragedy, but I would like to hone in on the city of New York and how their city changed in an instant when the planes hit the World Trade Center. New York City became a close-knit family overnight. The policemen, the firemen, the volunteers, family and friends all pulled together to help pull back their city. They helped clean up bodies, they helped the victims, they helped survivors who were mentally having problems with this, and they helped clean up the city that had been destroyed by the buildings collapsing. My boyfriend has firsthand experience with this because he was a volunteer firefighter at the time. He says he didn't get to help as much as he would like, but he did see many bodies, he helped many victims, and he did help clean up the rubble that was around the city from the buildings. Being a volunteer firefighter has helped him keep in touch with some people as well. One little old lady keeps in touch with him at least once a month for helping her. She and her husband worked in the World Trade Center. Her husband did die, but she made it, and she really helped her with her husband's death and helped her take care of herself during that situation after the event. The whole country was really scared of the unknown of what to come next after those terrorist attacks, but New York City was the greatest of all. What do you do after an attack like that happens? I have to say, New York City pulled themselves together, cleaned their city up, and have moved on from that. They still mourn the loss that happened to them, but they have prospered instead of letting it overtake them. The future of everyone who experienced 9/11 changed their lives forever, but I would like to inform you of how it changed my boyfriend's life. Some changes that happened to him are not only good changes. I would like to tell you about a bad change that happened to him, and one that he is not proud of, but one that he says he can't help. He has become a racist to anything Taliban, anything Muslim, anything Iraqi, anything anytime he sees any of these people, hears anything about these people, he has to make a negative comment. It's like he can't help himself. But he is trying to change that, but he says it's so hard when something like that happened that is so close to you. A good thing that came out of these events is he became a real patriot. He finally learned what it meant to be patriotic. He has the utmost respect for his military and really loves his country. He even says if he didn't think he was too old, he would join the military just so he could fight the war in Iraq. He is also still in mourning for the loss of his city, for the loss of the people that died, for the loss of the World Trade Center. And he is also in mourning for the friends and families who lost people in this tragedy. In conclusion, the 9/11 attacks are something that most of us will never forget. The next time you're driving down the road listening to your radio, try to think about something they would say that would change your life in just an instant. This is what happened to my boyfriend. This is an historical event that affected his life forever.